For this video, I'm going to talk about the essence of magical writing. We will discuss certain excerpts from these books. The 3 books of occult philosophy by Agrippa, edited and annotated by Donald Tyson, and published in 1531. Tao Magic, The Art of the Occult by Laszlo Legeza, published in 1975. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, published in 2004. And The Picatrix, translated by Dan Attrell and David Porreca, first published in the 11th century. Let's start with The Picatrix. On page 85, there's this paragraph. One sage I mentioned says that all the forms and figures of generation and corruption in this world exists by the powers and influences of the fixed stars. They are laid out and organized according to the aspects and dispositions of the fixed stars within those signs. He says that the other figures and forms are in the heavens and not upon the earth. These are neither known nor understood except by the wise, who have been educated in the science of the art of magic and spirits, and they are demarcated by defined proportions. Sages gave them the names by which they are now known, but not because those names reveal any quality nor anything about those figures. Those names are figures and seals like this. Then they are joined together with lines. Those lines that connect one point to another are to be thought of as rays that extend from one to the next, through which the figures and images are then calculated. These dwell in the 8th sphere and the fixed stars. There is a footnote that expands even more. This figure represents a generic combination of stars that, once linked by the correct combination of lines, can represent constellations. Here is a completed example of what was just described from a later chapter in the Picatrix. The same idea and process is explained in the Tao Magic book. These 2 combined talismans bring good fortune if they are drawn on the wall when flies or bees fly into your house. The diagram is based on constellation dots. Our next source, Agrippa, has this to say. There's also amongst them a writing which they call celestial, because they show it placed and figured amongst the stars. No otherwise than the other astrologers produce images of the signs from the lineaments of the stars. The editor, Donald Tyson, also says that MacGregor Mathers adds this note. The mystical alphabet, known as the writing of the Malachim, is formed from the position of the stars in the heavens by drawing imaginary lines from one star to another so as to obtain the shapes of the characters to this alphabet. I think the best summation of this thought process is from Susanna Clarke in her book. Here is part of The Raven King's Prophecy. Magic shall be written upon the sky by the rain, but they shall not be able to read it. Magic shall be written on the faces of the stony hills, but their minds shall not be able to contain it. In winter the barren trees shall be a black writing, but they shall not understand it. And the author also writes, the bare branches against the sky were a writing, and though he did not want to, he could read it. He saw that it was a question put to him by the trees. One has to wonder if that is how they made some of the symbols that are very similar in the Greek magical papyri from the 2nd century BC to the 2nd century AD. One example shown here. The essence discussed in this video means the taking of something that is on the periphery of marginal places and willing its shape and form so as to harness its influence and power. There is a certain bliss to be found when there is a tree outside being unusually noisy, and when you have the right night sky conditions, you can look up and read what it has to say against the backdrop of the moonlit sky. The Picatrix also states that words and images are like spirits in a body. With enough understanding, one can learn how to use magical writing and incantations together. This type of thinking is the source of all true and powerful magical alphabets, writings, and symbols. Always try to see this underlying truth when using any of those concepts. Furthermore, the sigils made from the Sparks of Olympus astrological model build on the ideas explained in this video.